Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our city council meeting. I'd ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Here.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Here.
Councilmember Dewey,
Here.
Councilmember Gibbons, here. Councilmember Litso is absent. Councilmember Sears,
Here.
Thank you. We will actually go straight down to public comments.
the public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to this period. The mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed.
Thank you. Do we have anyone wishing to speak?
Mayor and council, there are no requests for comment at this time.
Thank you, David. Then we will move on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion passes. We'll go to unfinished business. Bill 10985.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending the provisions of the Municipal Code, Chapter 25, zoning and subdivision regarding revisions to B2 mixed-use development standards.
Do we have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Bill passes, and as such, on item number 5, resolution 77, 2023 will be on the table. Be on for consideration. Bill 10986.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $42,883.48 from the Equitable Sharing Fund balance to the Police Department Machinery and Equipment account and accepting the bid of wireless CCTV in the amount of $42,883.48 pursuant to General Services Administration GSA Advantage Cooperative Contract for the purchase of a portable trailer surveillance camera system for the police department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Bill passes. Bill 10987.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $14,512 from the Capital Fund balance to the Street Department rolling stock account and accepting the bid of Viking Chives Midwest in the amount of $112,476 pursuant to Sourcewell Cooperative Contract for the purchase of a 2023 Ford F-550 chassis with Viking Chives dump body for the street department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Are there any questions or comments?
Have you tried Viking chives? Delicious.
And they make great dump bodies.
Tell us about it. Right. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Bill passes. Go to new business, Bill 10988.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $7,103,897 from the Electric Fund balance to the Electric Department Electricity account for purchase power expenses and wholesale power revenues for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments? I see a couple hands. Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes, thank you. If we could get just an explanation of what's occurring here,
Yeah.
just for public consumption, that would be
I'm
fantastic.
going to call Mark Petty up to explain.
Good evening,
Great,
Know anything
thank you.
about this, Mark?
Yeah.
but I'll make it quick. So the way we do this is obviously the beginning of the years, we set up the budget and an expectation for what is the expenditures in the market. And the revenues that we're going to have for sales for power. And when we get to the end of the year, we have to show in the books, the actuals. And what we're doing now is we're going to show the actuals. And it turns out that in this particular fiscal year, just as other years, we were able to actually sell power at the same time we were buying power. And we actually sold $8.4 million more than we expected, even though our expenditures came in at $7.1 million more. So part of the strategy, as you know, we have is we sell Prairie State Power into the grid as wholesale power while we're buying. Whenever the price goes up for our own expenses, the price also goes up for our sales, and we cover our expenses by doing sales. And now we're going to record it in the books.
So what about the 1.3 million between those two?
Oh, yeah, that's the part that we use to cover other expenses, like our debt service that we have now for when we do capital upgrades from the certificates of participation.
Does any of that get saved for storm mitigation?
Actually, no, it will not, because the debt service by itself is 1.6 million.
Okay,
So we're only going to have 1 million to cover. The 1 million that we use to cover is the amount that's there. We still have to have $600,000 from the rest of the budget for coverage.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, see no further questions. All in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10989.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $150,000 from the Medical Self-Insurance Fund balance to the Medical Self-Insurance Claims Expense account due to increased medical claims for the fiscal year 22-23.
Your motion for approval?
Motion.
second.
A motion is second. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons?
Well, I think we had the same thing last year. Is that correct, Russ? That it went up?
We've experienced some increases in claims toward the end of the fiscal year in both years. And it's higher than what's budgeted, so therefore we have to transfer from the fund balance.
So it's the second year row. Now, I had heard that last year, a lot of people, because of COVID, had put things off, and that's why. And is that still going on, or should we be looking at increasing our budget for the future?
That's the $64,000 question, because we can speculate that that is a reoccurrence of that situation that caused it to occur this year, but we wouldn't know for certain. So I think we're going to try to read the tea leaves as best we can using our brokers and determine what the appropriate amount to budget next year will be.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
No, bill passes first reading. Bill 10990.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $350,000 from the Workers' Compensation Fund balance to the Workers' Compensation Expense account due to increased workers' compensation claims for fiscal year 22-23.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comments? Councilmember Zimmer?
Just say this is similar to Bill 10989, that we're speculating and we're trying to determine if this is just a one-time bump.
Correct.
Hopefully it is, and I'm sure you all will look at the tea leaves on this one as well.
Correct.
But this probably doesn't have anything to do with COVID, or do you think it
I
does?
know.
No.
There's no COVID impact in those figures.
Got it, okay.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
No. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10991.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $33,486 from the Equitable Sharing Fund balance to the Police Department Machinery and Equipment account for upgrades to the CAD system for the Police Department.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Bill passes first reading. Resolution 77, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution approving the development plan for a mixed-use project in the B2 zoning district located on the properties known as 116, 126, 132, 142, and 150 East Monroe Avenue and 309 South Taylor Avenue, subject to certain conditions.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second, I've got a motion and a second. I'm just going to make just a brief comment on this. I am very, very excited about this. I don't know if I could have envisioned anything better for that site. When Tyler is here and presented, Mark, just very exciting. That's what's going to happen in that area. You're going to bring at least, I don't know how many, at least 100 new people, if not more, into the downtown area, which is so critical to feed our businesses. And what you're doing there with the plaza and just continuing it with the Performing Arts Center is just wonderful. So we're so glad that you came to us with this. A lot of thought, time, and energy went into it. And it's just going to be a wonderful project for us. So thank you for that. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh. In order. Mark, do you have anything? You're first tonight.
Yeah, thank you. The only thing, and I'd asked this before, it looks like the grade kind of slopes up. And on the western side, it's a shorter distance than the eastern side. The eastern side is 57 feet. But there's no height shown on the western side. Now, obviously, it's shorter than 57 feet, but I had a gentleman ask me what that height actually was.
You want to answer that? Is that, Jonathan, is that something you can answer? Or if not, we can suspend rules and bring Tyler up.
I don't have that exact number here. I just remind everybody, this is a development plan, so the final site plan and architectural elevations have to go through their process. So I would also, it's subject to the code. It will meet the 60-foot average building height. So even if I had the exact number, it could fluctuate as long as they still meet that height requirement, but.
And it's obviously below 60 feet because there's less of a distance on that side versus the east side because it's going uphill.
Right,
So,
right.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Well, just adding to your excitement about the project, I ran into the property owner on the 4th of July. I think she owns all that property, but maybe just most of it. And how excited she is about this project. And I think that is exciting too. So.
Thing on this side?
Nope.
All right, very good. All right, seeing no further comments or questions, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 78, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is resolution accepting the single source proposal of Avail switchgear systems in the amount not to exceed of $1,772,145 for switchgear modifications and additional spare parts for the Sugar Creek substation for the electric department, and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
We have a second? Second. The motion is second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 79, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an annual renewable fleet maintenance services agreement with the city of Crestwood, Missouri for all preventative vehicle maintenance to be performed by the city of Kirkwood Fleet Services Department.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a motion and a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes. I think this is a great positive for the city. We've talked many times about driving revenues and leveraging our expertise, being a leader in the metropolitan area. This is it. And job well done on this, because again, this is another way of using our expertise to bring additional revenues to the city. So thank you.
Councilmember Gibbons?
I agree. Thank you for that. I'm wondering, do we have an idea of what the annual income off of this would be?
I don't have that projection in front of me right now, but it should be fairly significant. It'll add to the revenues derived from out of city sources.
And reading through it, it mentioned that it was for their fire trucks, but then it said something about police too. Is it for both or is it just fire?
I believe it's for both.
Okay, all right. And what other municipalities are we currently, it mentions that we're.
Oh, we've got a number.
Hill.
We're doing work with Rock Hill. We're doing work with Glendale, certainly. There's Crestwood, Saline Valley Fire District. Because we have peer certified technicians at the city.
Huh?
And they're very hard to come by.
I bet.
So
And do
some of
they
the fire
get-
districts are interested in what we do as well.
That is exciting and we should be touting that.
Exactly.
Do they get
Exactly.
regular training and is that built into the cost of these services to these other
Absolutely.
municipalities?
The actual costs of the employees, their training, the provision, the overhead, everything is built into the cost that we charge the outside customer.
And I noticed that it requires that we have a parts inventory, which sounds a little bit overwhelming almost, and expensive. Does that cost get put into the annual income as well? Because there's probably parts that maybe never get used that we have
Well,
inventory.
we recovered the wholesale cost of the part that goes into the vehicle. That's
Mhm.
correct.
But what about the ones that we're sitting on?
Well, I mean, those are available to us and to everybody else, so it helps preserve the operation.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Anything from this side? All right. Seeing none, no further roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
Resolution passes and final resolution, resolution 80, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Traffic Control Company in the amount not to exceed of $95,206.82, which includes contingency of $12,418.28 for 2023 acrylic waterborne pavement markings for the street department and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions or comments? No, nothing from here. I want this side now.
Take that side first.
Councilmember Zimmer.
Yes, thank you. Russ, I don't know if maybe Bill can chime in too on this. As far as the markings, obviously this is what we want to do. Are there how reflective are these markings? And as far as the quality of these markings, where are we at in terms of the products that are out there? Is this the most expensive product that you can buy? Is it the most reflective, the fanciest? You know, where are we at as far as,
Say it's none of those three things.
okay,
It's a reasonable and meets standards, but I'll let
Okay.
Bill if he wants to. It's a reasonable price, so you get more effect.
sure.
And we looked into all of these, and this may be Bill's last.
Last trip.
You want my answer?
We want you to be safe, Bill. That's why we're talking about this.
As you recall, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, we had a council work session on this exact topic. okay?
Exactly, we did.
And what we've come to find, this is the most efficient and effective and fiscally responsible pavement marking, okay? It's sort of in the middle areas. Some of you have seen emails in the past about doing thermoplastic markings, okay? We actually done that out here on the leg of Madison at Clay. On that leg, we installed thermoplastic markings, okay?
Mhm.
And at that time, this was at least 2 years, 3 years back, that was $1,800 to do one leg. To paint the whole intersection is only $1,600. Okay, so it has a longer wearing time, but the expense is 3 times the expense. Okay, and so it's the most cost-effective method that is out there, and it's the same thing that we use, that the county uses, and most municipalities use these. Thermoplastic is better, but it's more
A
expensive.
lot more
And the last
expensive.
time we did the life cycle analysis on it, it proved out to be the most cost-effective method.
And it sounds like, as you mentioned, other municipalities are using this similar product.
And some, there are some that use thermoplastic on their, what they call long lines, the center lines,
Mhm.
because they're less traveled on and things of that nature, and they last a lot longer.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Did you have something, Councilmember?
Yeah.
Gibbons?
I would like to know if we've looked into the 3M tape that,
That is the product, a similar product that we used on Madison already in the past.
okay,
Mhm.
because it's guaranteed for 4 years.
Right.
And what I see from the paint that we're putting on, like I passed 2 today, just on the way here, and you can barely see them anymore. I mean, it's lasting, how long are you? Would you
About 2
say?
years. But by doing that in 2 years, in a 2-year cycle, we're still, the cost is still less. And we are meeting the reflectivity requirements for streets under 30 miles per hour, I think it is.
Oh, under 30, okay. Because, you know, especially the ones that are mid-block, the one up at Clay and Essex, the one on Geyer where Mr. Schaefer was killed. Those are only 30 miles an hour, but you can't even see them now.
Right.
They're in such
That
bad
portion
shape.
of Guard, yes, that portion of Guard is well worn, and they will get all new striping once it's redone this year or early next year.
Is there a way that we could identify those crosswalks that are used the most and are traveled? I don't mean by people walking across them. I mean by cars going over them and wearing down more often than 2 years, because they're becoming faded
Right.
much faster than 2 years. Could we evaluate all of them and put them in some kind of order and maybe use the more reflective on those that are traveled more?
I think that's something Chris will can take a look at into the future, and absolutely prioritize, I would say, mid-block crossings and things of that nature, and get with Russ and go over the cost of what that is.
I mean, could we, rather than voting on this today, could we see what that looks like?
I would not recommend that. It's not something they're gonna do tonight or
No,
tomorrow. I think
right.
we move, it doesn't prevent from changing it in the future. I mean, when Chris
I
does
think we
the
could-
analysis.
We
yeah, I
can
don't
adjust
think-
the approach. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't think we wouldn't want to hold up on this, and it can be, we can change it at any point in time, but I think we need to go ahead and get this going, because it's not going to be everywhere, even if we change it.
Right,
So-
right. Okay.
That's my thought. I think Russ hears, and I think it's a legitimate
Okay.
option to look at.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on this?
Mhm.
All right, seeing no other questions or comments, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
Resolution passes. That brings us to city council reports. And I'm going to start tonight. I have some guests here tonight. I think most people know my wife Susan back there. And also a recent addition to our family. I think most people, at least up here, know Susan's son, my stepson, Michael. Well, tonight, his new wife, Teffy, is here. Teffy just moved here permanently from Guatemala on Memorial Day, and they live here in Kirkwood. So
Nice.
we're very fortunate. And then also with them is one cool kid. and I don't say that often. This is Teffy's brother, Daniel, who's visiting from Guatemala City. And we've had him staying with us for about 2.5 weeks now. And people know how I can be with people staying in our house. He has been just a joy and a pleasure. Unfortunately, he's got to go back on Monday, but hopefully we'll see him again. Daniel, thanks for being here. Okay. All right, couple quick things. We had a wonderful July 4th gathering for a few people up at the park the other night. Want to thank all the city departments who were involved in it, Parks and Rec, police, fire, I assume streets, everybody. It was just a great event, and thanks for all the work that goes into it. Also want to thank Mark and his team for taking care of us after the storms the other day. It was very, very, very quick. I know some still may be out on Ameren, and it's just really, it's unfortunate, but I think what it should do for people when they see electricity is out, or power is out, instead of, calling and complaining, to realize how substantial some of these storms can be and how devastating it is when trees go over. So we were fortunate this time, it sounds like, Mark, and I think people just need to be wherever they are. We know it's inconvenient. We all hate it, but it is very difficult when these storms come through. So thank you for all that. Yeah. Please do.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
And then one final thing, I'm sure others will say something, and I don't mean to steal thunder, but Bill was just up here, and I think time to congratulate you. Tomorrow is your last day, correct? After 40 years in the business, I know the last 9 with Kirkwood, and how many before with Kirkwood? I don't remember the exact number. 13, so 12 or 20 years with the city of Kirkwood. Bill, you've been a joy to work with. And the first time when you came back in 14, wasn't it 2014, you stabilized a department that was really needed stabilizing. You're going to be missed, and just thank you for all the guff you have put up with, but your professionalism is just impeccable. So thank you very much for that.
Great.
Other council reports, Councilmember Zimmer.
Well, I'd just like to add to that, and that's the only thing I'll mention tonight. Mr. Bensing has been an example of the excellence of the city staff. He's always been knowledgeable, professional, responsive, and caring. He obviously took pride in his work, cared about his job, cared about the city, and cared about our citizens. The things that he's done to put Kirkwood above and beyond the other surrounding municipalities in our area has gone unnoticed. When we talk about all of the street projects that we've done, outside of even Vision Zero, which he has been heavily involved in, he's implemented safety features for many years in Kirkwood, and not really gotten the credit for that. So, I want to make sure that you get that credit, Bill, because your hard work is very much appreciated, and your legacy of safety in Kirkwood will be realized for many years to come. And it's always been a pleasure to work together for the city of Kirkwood and its citizens. And thank you so very much for all of the time and all of the commitment that you've given to the city of Kirkwood. Thank you.
Anything else from council?
I just,
Councilmember
I
Dewey?
talked with Bill a little bit before the meeting, and I just want to say publicly, thank you. We worked really close. There were 3 of us that worked really close with Bill, with Vision Zero, and you were, none of that happened without you. So thank you so much.
Anything else from council? Councilmember
I'll
Sears?
just, I can speak after them, fortunately, because I can just say yeah, what they said. Which is, but it's, I feel the exact same way. And so I would have said all those, and I enjoyed our discussions over craft beer, and maybe we'll have to brew a retirement beer together. So if you have any time, you could, look me up and see if we can make that happen.
Okay. Thank you. Any, okay,
Well, I talk so much. I'm just
well,
gonna
we
say
know
thank
that.
you,
so-
Bill.
Yeah, really, we know that. That's serious, that it, that's, okay.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
All right. Chief Administrative Officer report.
All right, Mayor, I also want to weigh in on Bill a little bit. I've worked with Bill for over 9 years now, and he has been a rock in that department. He is steadfast in his approach to engineering and to solving problems and to identifying the most efficient and effective way to address issues and be a good steward for the citizens' monies in every way possible. His professionalism is unsurpassed of anybody I've worked with. He's a very, very strong and professional approach through some very trying and difficult circumstances at times. And I commend him on that. And I just wanted to let him know that it's been a pleasure working with him, and I'm going to miss him. I'm going to look forward to Chris coming in too, because Chris is a strong follow, but it'd be big shoes to fill. So it's gonna work on that. All right, and also I have CAO reports here. Number one, the city did receive an application for temporary outdoor promotional variance from Taleo Coffee, 132 Westman Road, to hold a 2-year birthday party on August 13th on the parking lot from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And setup would start at 6 and tear down at 4. This request needs city council approval by a voice vote.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Questions or comments?
I am going
Okay.
to recuse myself from
Okay.
this vote, in that honeybees was mentioned.
Okay.
in-
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes, and with the notation that Councilmember Gibbons recused herself.
The second request here is the city did receive an application for temporary outdoor promotional variance from Chicken Out Kirkwood LLC, 10,463 Manchester Road, for a second annual party on the patio parking lot on July 22nd from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And this similarly require a council approval by voice vote.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. City
That's all.
Attorney report.
I have nothing to report, but I would like to echo the same comments about Bill. You and I have worked together for a long time, Bill. And seriously, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you. I've always respected and admired what you do, and wish you nothing but the very best in your retirement. And maybe I'll see you soon.
Thank you. City Clerk report.
I have nothing to report. Bill, I'll see you tomorrow. So.
Very good. Thank you. Well, now we get to the final item is on the agenda, the appointment of a council member to fill a vacancy. I think as most people know, at the last meeting, Wallace Ward submitted his resignation effective the next day. And so now the process states that the council shall appoint a replacement to fill the vacancy until next April, which is the next regular city election. So what'll happen in that election is there's already, the voters will elect 4 people. The 3 for the regular 4-year terms, and then 1 to complete the final 2 years of former council member Ward's term. So what'll happen is the top 3 vote getters will get the 4-year terms, and the person who comes in 4th will get the 2-year term. So after the meeting, Mr. Hessel was out of town, so he was back early next week. So I just consulted with him on the process, how to do this, and proceeded accordingly. And so how it happened is after I, talked to John, I had conversations with each individual council member, called on the phone and expressed to each of them what I thought we should look for in a replacement until April, and wanted to hear from each of them what he and she wanted. The two main things that I wanted and shared were, I thought it should be someone who was previously on the council, who had been vetted by the voters once, someone who could step right in and do the work. And the second is that it should not be someone who is running for office next April. I did not think it would be fair for us to interject ourselves in that process. And by appointing someone who is or was thinking about running for council, we would be doing that. So I shared that with council members, and everyone basically agreed to that. Some names were bantered around, but when all was said and done, it was very, very clear to me who we should ask to submit to fill the vacancy. And so I called that person to make sure that person would do it, and the answer was a yes. So with that, I would like a motion to appoint Kara Wirtz to complete to fill the vacancy until next April.
Motion.
Is there a second? All right, are there any questions or comments?
Yay. Good choice.
Yeah, Kara happens to be the most recent member of the city council, having served until April of 22, choosing for very good reasons not to run for reelection, maybe something called two little kids and a job. But when I called Kara, she was very, very gracious in saying that she would serve if the council so chooses. So with that, we have a roll call on the motion? Did I get a motion in a second?
You did.
I did, okay.
Yeah.
And a roll call, please.
Okay. Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears.
Yes.
All right, that motion is approved, and now I will ask Kara to come forward and ask our city clerk to swear her in. No, just so the camera can see, yeah. Why don't you get in the front of the microphone too? Yeah, so,
Catherine can get your picture.
but just pull the microphone over, yeah, there
Okay.
you go.
So if you will just raise your right hand. Do you, Kara Wirtz, solemnly swear that you possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of council member of the city of Kirkwood, that you'll support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Missouri, provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri affecting the city of Kirkwood, and the ordinances of the city of Kirkwood, and that you will faithfully demean yourself in office? All right, congratulations.
It just so happens Lori did not throw out your nameplate. So why don't you come up here and have a seat with your nameplate and say a few words?
Oh, there it is.
Nice.
Hey.
To me. I just want to say, first off, it very rarely in life are you asked to fill the literal seat of a mentor and friend. And so I hope to do, I just hope he doesn't roll his eyes too much about what I have to say over the next few months. But I also wanted to say, thank you all. I'm honored that you thought I was up to the job, and I look forward to serving the city again.
Thank you, Kara.
Oh, also, Bill, one more day with me. But thank you for your service.
Yeah. Now, when I called Kara, she made it very clear that she had a prior commitment on July 20th. So she won't be, she takes office and start getting everything, but she won't be on July 20th. So
I know.
we can hold off. So.
Yeah.
Very good. Nice to have you back. Nice to have you back. All right. So with that, next regular meeting, city council will take place at 7 PM on July 20th. This meeting is adjourned.
Two things, yes.